Your time was different from this. Nicole's marriage is also a business matter for our family. The star of the day, Nicole, was dressed in a pure white gown from a famous brand, radiating happiness at its peak. Seeing her, Father stood up, looking satisfied, and drew everyone's attention. Everyone, listen up. We want to celebrate Nicole and her wonderful fiancé, Ryan, and give them a special gift from us. Mother casually brought out a beautifully decorated wooden box. Nicole, congratulations on your marriage. As our family's pride, we are giving you our villa in Hawaii. A huge cheer and applause erupted, and Nicole, with tears in her eyes, hugged Mother. Father took a heavy key from the box and placed it in Nicole's hand. At that moment, Ryan, Nicole's fiancé standing beside her, stepped forward. Mother, Father, thank you so much. And the revenue from the downtown commercial building you mentioned the other day will also provide an excellent foundation for our new life. We genuinely appreciate it. The relatives murmured for a moment at his words. Of course, Ryan. We're welcoming a capable businessman like you into our family. The assets are happy about it too. I felt the blood drain from my face. That was the very heart of the trust fund, totaling $10 million left by my grandparents. And Father had promised it to a man who was practically a stranger, as if it were his own pocket money. Hearing that, I quietly whispered to Mother, Wait, what does this mean? When I got married a few years ago, it was just a dinner at an Italian restaurant in town and a $500 gift card. The opening line had been said by Mother back then, shocking me. From there, everything moved rapidly. Let's have a grand moving party in Hawaii as soon as next weekend. We'll invite close friends and business partners and make it a big affair. At that suggestion, Nicole gushed with childlike excitement. That's perfect, Mom. We'll order catering from our usual place and get champagne by the dozen. The family's conversation began running wild, unstoppable by anyone. That's right, the poolside at the villa is getting a bit old. Why don't we take this chance to renovate it with marble? Nicole said, and Mother clapped her hands as if she had been waiting for this moment. What a great idea, Nicole. Actually, we have just the right source of funds. She lowered her voice, but still loud enough for everyone present to hear. The collection of antique coins that Grandpa left in his study. Let's have a professional appraise them and sell them. If we show them to an expert, they should fetch a considerable sum. With that money, we can expand the pool. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That coin collection was a treasure representing Grandpa's life, gathered during his travels around the world. He had often told me while he was alive that each coin held a memory. But Nicole, oblivious to Grandpa's feelings, sparkled with excitement. Wonderful. Then can we buy a jet ski too? I want to ride it with Ryan. Of course. Father nodded expansively this time, as if he were a king. Don't worry. The appraisal documents and provenance certificates for the coins are being kept securely in the bank's safe deposit box. I'll take care of it. Then he casually said something even more frightening. And Nicole, as for the gift tax on the villa, don't worry about that either. I've already told the accountant to pay it out of the trust's reserve funds. Diverting trust funds intended for future generations to pay for personal taxes is a clear illegal act. They saw the assets Grandpa left for future generations only as a convenient wallet to satisfy their own desires. I just silently listened as the family's reckless plan was spoken of, as if it were already a fait accompli. I recalled word for word the certified mail I had sent to Father 3 months ago. It stated that the real estate portfolio, worth a total of $10 million including the Hawaii villa, would be fully transferred to me on my 30th birthday under the trust. It was a highly procedural and legally binding document prepared by my attorney. Father, having received this letter directly from the postman, barged into my home that night in a rage. Kelly, is this some kind of joke? What do you mean by hiring a lawyer against your own father? When I calmly said, this is a legal process, don't get emotional, Father became even more furious. I don't want to hear any lectures from you. Then, ignoring my attempts to stop him, he tore the envelope containing that important certified mail to shreds right in front of me and threw it into the fireplace. Do you understand now? Your silly fantasies mean nothing to me. I was the only one in the family who was enjoying the party, who knew that it was my 30th birthday. While Nicole and Ryan were talking dreamily about their life in the new vacation home, I was quietly staring at the screen of my smartphone under the table. The moment the digital clock changed from 11:59 to 12 o'clock, the first to react was my smartphone. The sender was the law firm acting as the trust administrator. Important or official notice, notification of the completion of formal transfer of trust management rights. Almost at the same time I opened that email, Father's smartphone began to vibrate in his pocket. As I glanced at his face while he looked at the screen, I could see the color drain from it instantly. The email he received was also from the law firm. Important official notice regarding change of trust administrator. That brief sentence ruthlessly informed him that all his authority had been stripped away. What? Is this? Is this some kind of mistake? Father muttered in disbelief. Just a few seconds later, Mother's smartphone on the table began to chime with a notification. Displayed on it was an automatic alert from the real estate management company in Hawaii. Notice of security system update. The access codes for your Hawaii villa have been automatically updated as of noon today due to a change in the master administrator. The old codes are now invalid. After reading that sentence, Mother's cheerful smile completely disappeared. Honey, what does this mean? The code of the villa has changed on its own? He just alternated staring at his smartphone screen and my face, as if he were looking at something incredulous. Mother's anxious voice stopped the cheerful buzz in the solarium. Father was pale and finally squeezed out his words. Kelly, is it your work? Explain what the hell you mean. I quietly got up from my chair and declared clearly so that everyone there could hear it. I will tell you today, at noon, I am the sole and rightful administrator of the $10 million trust bequeathed by my grandparents. After a moment of silence, the whole room was filled with a roar that seemed to be beyond comprehension. I can hear the whispers of my relatives. Mother approached me in a trembling voice. What are you talking about, Kelly? We gave that villa to Nicole. In response to that hysterical voice, I calmly replied, No, to be precise, Mom didn't have the authority to gift that asset in the first place. What? A villa in Hawaii, a commercial building downtown, and Grandpa's antique coin collection. All of them are my own. All of them are official trust assets listed in the trust agreement. I operated my smartphone and displayed on the screen the list of trust assets that the lawyer had sent me the other day. Then I held it up right in front of Mother. Please look at this list. Ever since our grandparents passed away, the ownership of these assets has not belonged to us as individuals, but to the trust itself, which has a legal entity. And today, all authority to manage this trust has been transferred to me. Mother was struck dumb when she saw the list of assets on the screen and the corporate name written below. Owner, Coastal Properties Trust. What she had believed she had given to her daughter as gifts were not actually hers. It seemed that this cruel reality had only just begun to register in Mother's understanding. My declaration completely froze the atmosphere in the room. The silence was broken by Nicole's fiancé, Ryan, who had been quietly observing the situation until now. He no longer wore the smile of a good-natured young man. With the sharp eyes of a businessman, he stared directly at me. Wait, Kelly, this is not what we agreed on. Earlier, your father promised to distribute the income from the downtown commercial building for our living expenses. What happens to that promise? His tone had long since abandoned any pretense of politeness. I turned to him and spoke firmly. That promise has no legal significance. As clearly stated in Article 12 of the Trust's rulebook, all income generated from the trust shall only be used for the maintenance and enhancement of the trust assets and may under no circumstances be distributed to any individual for personal gain. The confidence quickly drained from Ryan's face. I continued. In other words, the $500,000 in annual profits generated by that building will continue to be entirely accumulated in the trust. Not a single dollar will go to you or Nicole. Those words struck a fuse of anger in Nicole. That's a lie. You're just saying whatever you want. Nicole shouted, grabbed her smartphone, and slammed it down on the table. Just watch. I'll log into the security app for the villa and prove to you that it's still ours. She opened the app with practiced ease and typed in her password. But the next moment, a merciless red error message appeared on the screen. Access denied. User privileges unavailable. What? I can't get in. Why? I quietly told my panicking sister the truth. That's what I told you, Nicole. The administrator has changed. As of noon today, the security management of all trust assets, including the villa, has been transferred to me. All access rights have been reset, and issuing new access keys requires my formal approval and mine alone. She had been completely locked out of the place she thought of as her home. The reality finally seemed to shatter Nicole's mind. She slumped weakly in her chair, still clutching her smartphone. As she stood speechless in shock, my own phone quietly signaled an incoming call. Seeing the name displayed on the screen, I knew that this timing was no coincidence. I pressed the call button, switched to speakerphone, and answered the call. "Is this Kelly? This is Thompson, the appraiser. Do you have a moment to talk right now?" He has been one of the most trusted experts in the family, responsible for managing and appraising the antique coin collection for over 30 years, going back to Grandpa's generation. "Yes, Mr. Thompson, that's fine. Everyone is listening." As I spoke, I could see Father's face stiffen. "That's good. Actually, I just received official notice from the law firm that you have become the new trustee as of today. I sincerely congratulate you. And honestly, this also finally lifts a weight off my shoulders." Hearing Thompson's words, the relatives exchanged glances. "Excuse me, what do you mean?" I asked, and Mr. Thompson continued with a sigh. "To be honest, over the past few months, your father repeatedly pressured me to secretly sell part of the collection, and I was in a very difficult position." The room went icy cold at his words. Mother looked at Father in disbelief and asked, "Honey?" "Your father said he needed the funds to cover losses from his own stock investments. In particular, he called just yesterday, asking me to sell the most valuable piece in the collection, the 1804 silver dollar, to a private collector he knows, even at half the market price." The 1804 silver dollar. It is the centerpiece of the collection, a museum-quality piece said to be worth no less than $2 million. And Father was trying to secretly sell it, and at an unfairly low price, just to cover his personal losses. Of course, I've always insisted that I couldn't do such a thing without going through the proper trust procedures. But wow, that was a close call. Kelly, I'm really glad you became the administrator. The collection has been protected. Mr. Thompson's final words perfectly exposed, in front of the entire family, the embezzlement Father had been attempting. Father, pale as a sheet, could no longer utter a single word. Our relatives shot him looks filled with a mix of contempt and disappointment. I quietly, yet mercilessly, delivered the final blow to my completely cornered father. When I addressed him, his shoulders twitched. "Earlier, you said that the gift tax for the villa for Nicole would be paid from the trust's reserve funds, correct?" I continued calmly, as if reading a passage from a financial report prepared by the law firm. "The current market valuation of that villa in Hawaii is approximately $3.5 million. According to state law, the gift tax imposed when transferring real estate of this amount is estimated to be at least $500,000. $500,000? A relative gasped. "You, Father, intended to withdraw this huge sum of $500,000 from the trust account and use it to pay Nicole's individual taxes. That's right, isn't it?" I looked directly into Father's eyes and asked him plainly. However, this is no longer a matter of mere mismanagement. Under trust law, a trustee's act of diverting trust assets for personal gain clearly constitutes embezzlement in the course of duty. This is a serious criminal act that can carry a prison sentence of up to 10 years. I could see each legal term I spoke wrapping around Father like a heavy chain. He had no idea just how dangerous a bridge he was trying to cross, or the legal risks involved. The family assets he had thought of as his own were, in reality, bound by strict law and entirely different from what he imagined. And now, the fact that he had come dangerously close to breaking that law was finally being thrust in front of him. With no strength left, Father slumped into a nearby chair. As he fell completely silent and everyone lost their words, Mother, who had been dazed until then, suddenly shouted sharply, "Wait!" It was as if she had suddenly remembered something. She pointed at me with trembling fingers. "I remember. Before Grandfather passed away, he was looking at the trust documents and said, 'These assets should be used above all for the family's happiness and welfare.' It should have been written in the contract, too." At Mother's words, the relatives who had been awkwardly silent murmured, "Oh." My aunt also began to agree with Mother, saying, "Come to think of it, I feel like I heard something like that too. Emboldened, Mother began to speak rapidly, as if a dam had broken. Nicole's marriage is the greatest happiness for this family. Her building a new home and finding happiness with Ryan, who has social standing, contributes to the welfare of the entire family. Therefore, this villa should be given to Nicole. It perfectly aligns with the purpose of the trust. For a moment, the atmosphere almost swayed in Mother's favor, but I remained completely unfazed. That clause certainly exists, but that's not the point here. I operated my smartphone, opened the PDF file of the trust agreement that I had scanned in advance, and displayed the relevant page on the TV monitor so that everyone could see it. There, just as Mother had said, a sentence was highlighted. Article 3, Purpose of the Trust. The primary purpose of this trust is to enhance the happiness and welfare of the beneficiaries, who are family members. The important part is what comes next. When I operated the remote, the highlighted section moved to the next paragraph. However, the use of the assets shall be conducted in a manner that does not compromise the long-term value of the trust as a whole, and it is an absolute requirement that it be fair to all beneficiaries, including both current and future generations. I pointed to the monitor and began a calm explanation. Giving a $3.5 million villa, which accounts for more than 1/3 of the total assets, to a specific beneficiary, Nicole, for free. This is a serious injustice to the other beneficiaries, including myself and any children born in the future. This is a clear violation of the rules. I continued pressing the point. Furthermore, if the villa is gifted, we will permanently lose the annual rental income of about $80,000 that it could generate. This is an action that would obviously undermine the long-term value of the trust. That clause is an extremely important safeguard put in place to prevent situations like today, where assets are sold off based on emotional decisions. Faced with my perfect legal explanation, Mother murmured helplessly, "No, that can't be," and collapsed on the spot. It was the moment when the last glimmer of hope was completely cut off by unassailable logic. As Father remained completely silent and the sunroom filled with a heavy atmosphere, Nicole's fiancé Ryan stood up, his face contorted with anger. He had now stopped acting like a member of this family and confronted Nicole, exposing his hostility openly. "Nicole, what on earth is going on? This isn't what we talked about," Nicole sobbed, answering in a faint, trembling voice. I didn't know it would turn out like this." "Didn't know doesn't cut it. Your father promised me a stable income from a commercial building. And that Hawaiian villa, it's not just any house. If I put that up as collateral, I could have secured loans worth millions of dollars for new business investments." What came out of Ryan's mouth wasn't words of love, but cold financial calculation. No expected income, no collateral value. And on top of that, your father is practically a criminal. Marrying into this family would be nothing but a stain on my career. Ryan handed Nicole an ultimatum. "I'm sorry, but I need to reconsider this marriage. No, let's call it off entirely." After saying that, he walked briskly out of the sunroom, not sparing anyone another glance. Nicole crumpled to the floor, covering her face, overwhelmed with the ultimate humiliation, having her fiancé break off the engagement in front of her family for money. Seeing her daughter in such a pitiful state, Mother finally snapped, approaching me with a crazed expression. "This is all your fault. You schemed all of this, didn't you?" She grabbed my arm and shouted hysterically, "How could you do something so cruel? You ruined my daughter's happy marriage out of your jealousy. You devil!" Her furious voice echoed through the room. "Because of you, Nicole's life is completely ruined." I quietly shook off Mother's hand as she grabbed my arm. Then I looked straight into her tear-filled eyes and with just one word, told her the truth. "It wasn't me who messed up Nicole's life. It's your own responsibility, Nicole, for choosing a man who can only judge things by money." At those words, Mother gasped and stood frozen. Holding Nicole, who was sobbing after being abandoned by her fiancé, Mother seemed unwilling to give up, shouting as if entrusting her last hope. "What about the moving party next week? I've already sent invitations to close friends and executives at Ryan's company. We can't cancel it now." If only that party could happen, maybe something could still be salvaged. Her desperation was evident. "The party is canceled." At my concise words, Mother looked entirely unbelieving. "Why?" How am I supposed to explain this to the guests? Explain it however you like, but physically holding the party is impossible. I explained the reason calmly, yet clearly enough for anyone to understand. First of all, the house we're moving to isn't Nicole's, so it's obvious, isn't it? That single statement became the final stake, signaling the end of all plans. The house we were supposed to give as a gift belongs to neither me nor Nicole, so she can't move out. It was a logic so simple and cruel that there was no room for argument. It seemed I no longer even had the energy to refute it. The relatives, witnessing this devastating collapse of the family, stood frozen, unsure of what to do. But eventually, one by one, they awkwardly stood up and left, as if fleeing. The sunroom, once so lively, fell silent in an instant, leaving only the half-eaten food and my family, crushed by despair. Father had been sitting on the sofa, staring into empty space, and eventually, in a frail voice like that of an old man, he muttered to me, "You, in just one day, completely destroyed this family." At that accusation, I quietly shook my head. "No, Dad, it wasn't me who destroyed it." I looked straight into Father's eyes and said clearly, "The ones who destroyed this family were unmet promises and pretensions beyond our means." I did not dwell on sentimentality. I pulled out my smartphone right there and called Mr. Thompson, the appraiser who had given me such excellent assistance earlier. "Mr. Thompson, it's Kelly. Thank you so much for earlier." From the speakerphone, his calm voice came through. "No, I just did what was natural. So, is there anything else I can do for you?" "Yes. As the official trustee, your first task is to begin an immediate assessment of the current state of the antique coin collection. Then conduct an urgent audit to ensure that all assets are properly secured, starting as soon as tomorrow. The costs will be covered by the trust." "Understood. I'll assemble a team right away. I think the collection has been waiting for a trustee like you, someone who can make quick and accurate decisions." I felt a slight sense of relief at Mr. Thompson's strong words. After hanging up, I began drafting a detailed email to our legal advisor. Urgent task request following trustee transition. In the body of the email, I listed, in bullet points and without any emotional language, only the objective facts of what had occurred at this morning's brunch. I concluded the email with the following. Based on the facts outlined above, please initiate a formal investigation involving an external accounting firm into the potential past misappropriation of assets by the former trustee, my father. Additionally, please send a notice to Ryan, Nicole's former fiancé, requiring him to sign a legally binding memorandum affirming that he will make no claims whatsoever to the trust assets in the future. The moment I hit send, I felt something change within me. I was now the sole trustee, responsible for protecting, nurturing, and connecting $10 million in assets to the future. The weight of that responsibility, rather than crushing me, made me stronger. With my head bowed, father and tearful mother and sister beside me, I quietly stepped into a new life. Several months had passed since that turbulent brunch. With the help of appraiser Mr. Thompson and the legal advisory team, I had begun to fully settle into my role as trustee. Our Hawaii villa, after undergoing strict screening, was leased long-term to an executive of an IT company, providing steady rental income to the trust. The commercial building downtown also benefited greatly from the tenant review I spearheaded, and its revenue has increased by more than 15% compared to when Father managed it. The results of the investigation we commissioned a lawyer to conduct into Father's past asset management were shocking. Evidence kept surfacing that showed Father repeatedly attempted to divert trust funds, not only for the coin sale attempt testified to by Mr. Thompson. However, also in the past, to cover his own business shortfalls or compensate for losses in stock investments. Fortunately, each time the cautious accountants at the trust management office prevented him from doing so. But it became clear to everyone that Father was unfit to be in charge. I hear that my sister Nicole completely broke off her engagement with Ryan afterwards, and due to the significant mental shock, stayed cooped up at home for a while. Mother continues taking care of Nicole, but she seems to have been telling relatives that I am the ruthless daughter who broke up the family. Since that day, my relationship with Mother and Nicole has been completely severed. Father was confronted with the investigation report by the lawyer and, unable to argue back, signed documents formally relinquishing all authority over the trust. Now, he has completely lost his drive and lives almost like a recluse, spending his days tending to his garden. Occasionally, I reread the letters that Grandma entrusted to me alone. One of them said, "To Kelly, this responsibility will sometimes make you feel lonely. You may be criticized by your family, but do not forget. You are an important guardian of our dreams and future. We always trust your judgment. What has been lost may be great. However, I am honoring my grandparents' wishes and fulfilling the responsibilities entrusted to me. That fact, above all, keeps my heart strong. I am no longer someone who watches others' expressions. From now on, I will resolutely continue on my own path of protecting the family's assets and passing them on to the future.